times in history where it's actually gone up over 20% in a 2-year period. I don't know if y'all know that or not, but you're living in the middle of the biggest money drop, the biggest like make it rain moment ever. We need to call Fat Joe and Lil Wayne because somebody's making it rain on this economy. And rain does not last forever. It does not, the rain comes to an end. Or as Shaquille O'Neal and Biggie, they had a great song back in the day that, called "You Can't Stop the Rain." Anybody remember that song? You can't stop the rain when it starts to fall. Anybody remember that? It was a great song, by the way. It was probably the only good song Shaq ever made. Shaq was not a great rapper. He sounded kind of awkward, but at least he tried. I had to give him credit for trying. And but that song was really good. Thanks. Shout out to Biggie. I don't even know if you can find it, but look it up on YouTube. It's a really good song. But anyway, so long story short, here's the deal. Right now, basically, the stock market is just in historic territory. It's so much money's been made, and I know a lot of you are stock market investors. And what I'm really proud of you for is that we can really say this in the Black Business School. We have a higher stock market participation rate than white people do. Like we actually invest more than white people do. Our participation rate is higher than the Jewish community, any other community out there. And why is that important? It's very important because all the studies, all the research shows that the number one variable that determines whether or not somebody's going to be rich or poor in America is do you invest in the stock market? Did y'all know that? How many of y'all knew this? Give me a yes in the chat if you knew these things. It's really important for you to understand that. And so basically, congratulations. Like you're breaking the generational curses. You're getting it done. You're making it happen, and you're elevating your family in ways that you can't even see. See, you think that you're just doing like a few little extra things for yourself, or you feel like, okay, I ain't really doing nothing special. I'm just investing a few dollars. I ain't really rich yet, that type of thing. But let me explain why this is historic. And why the stock market is making history for you, and for your family. Well, here's the deal. There's something, and we've talked about this a little bit. It's a term in economics called the ripple effect. Has anybody ever heard of the ripple effect? You might have heard me talk about the ripple effect. Well, the ripple effect is really important because what the ripple effect basically says is that economic activity has a ripple to it. It's almost like a virus that's contagious. Like if somebody has COVID and they sneeze on another person in the grocery store, that could be big, right? That could be a problem. Like lots of people could be hurt by that. Like a lot of people can be affected by literally, and a person who doesn't see the ripple effect or doesn't understand it or doesn't have enough financial consciousness yet to really understand how that works might look at it and say, well, what's the big deal? It's just one guy sneezing on another guy. Like who cares? That's not gonna that's not gonna kill everybody. But a person who understands the ripple effect has a consciousness level where they understand, no, what you do to that person they're gonna do it to somebody else, and then somebody else will do it, and then it multiplies, right? And then it becomes mathematically speaking, it is what you call exponential growth. Exponential growth is rapidly increasing. It's like how when you push a car down a hill, another term in mathematics, convexity. When you push a car down a hill, the faster you push it down and the longer it goes down the hill, the faster it goes, right? And that's how viruses spread. I don't know if you guys know this, but when I was on the faculty at Syracuse University, most of the mathematical equations we use to understand stocks actually came out of biology. God and Mother Nature gave us all the equations that we needed. We just modified those equations, and exponential growth is what you're looking for when you're talking about either fixing a problem or worsening a problem. So sometimes exponential growth can work against us. Sometimes the ripple effect harms us, right? It's like maybe with trauma. Anybody ever heard that term, hurt people hurt people? Anybody know that? Right? Give me a yes if you understand that, if you've seen that, right? Where somebody, used to be a good guy and then suddenly he gets his feelings hurt and next thing you know, he becomes a bad guy, almost like a zombie virus in a way. I saw a guy did a YouTube video about that. He said, man, most guys start off really trying to be nice to women, and then they get their feelings hurt, and then they turn into dogs. So y'all make us into dogs, right? And I'll just say my 2 cents is like, no, you get to choose how you treat people. Don't nobody make you do nothing. So stop that. You're a man. Like you take accountability for your decision. Same thing with women. You gotta take accountability. You can't say, well, they made me do it. They don't make you do it. Because when good things happen, you don't say other people did it for you, do you? Right? We take accountability for the good things that we do. Like I became a millionaire all by myself. I finished college. I didn't have no help, right? So we take accountability for what we do that's good. But sometimes we want to pass off accountability for the things that are bad, right? And you can't do that, but it's actually natural. One of the guys on my dissertation committee, his name was David Hirschleifer. He's a really smart guy, little short, little white man, very wonderful man, wonderful man. And he used to he I remember he introduced me to a concept called self-attribution bias, where people tend to be biased. They tend to take responsibility for good things, but push off accountability for bad things, right? So like if you listen to people talk about their favorite basketball team, if you say, well, did they win or lose? And they'll say, we won. But if the team lost, they'll say they lost. Pay attention, try it, test it out, try it out on somebody. Notice how when they talk about the team losing, they'll always say they. They did it. They quarterback is terrible, and they was throwing interceptions, and they wasn't playing no defense, and they was messing up. But then when they win, they're like, "Yeah, man, we was out there, we were killing it, man. We were running the ball, we was getting into the end zone. It was. So anyway, that's self-attribution bias. That's what it's called. No, but anyway, so going back to that and just ripple effects and all that, I want you to take credit for what you're doing with your family. I want you to understand that what you really see is only a fraction. It's the tip of the iceberg of what's actually there. Like what you see is, okay, I bought some Nvidia stock and I've been buying S&P 500 stocks every week for the last 2 years, and I've accumulated $5,000, 10,000, 20,000. Some of y'all have over $1 million. I love it. I'm very happy. Some of y'all have, it's because we've been doing this for a while. I know I meet a lot of you who tell me you've actually become millionaires during the course of the time that we've been talking, and that just thrills me. I love hearing stories like that. But the reality is that if you understand wealth the way I do and how money grows, and you see it the way I see the mathematics behind it. I'm telling you, like what you don't, you see the seed. I see the sycamore tree. Every sycamore tree starts off as a tiny little seed. Do you understand? Does that make sense? So keep planting seeds. Keep planting seeds. Keep planting seeds. And this is why consciousness is so important. This is why faith is so important. You have to have faith that what you're doing right now consistently is going to have an impact far beyond what you can even imagine, what you can even imagine. So keep on plowing, keep on going. I'm very proud of you. We're getting this done. We're making it happen. So let's go back to the stock market really quick. And by the way, I want to remind you, if you want, speaking of the stock market, I did finish that list. I told you guys I was going to send you all a list of stocks that are recession proof, that are considered to be recession proof. There is a belief that a decline is coming. There's a belief that a recession is coming. It has to, right? All good things eventually come to an end. So what I did was I pulled together a list of stocks that are considered to be strong even during recessions, and I'll text that out to you guys. So if you want to get that text, make sure you're on the text list. Text the word morning, MORNING, to the number 87948. Text morning to 87948. 87948, morning. That's the word. Just text that word to me, and I'll send the list back to you this afternoon. All right. So with that said, the stock market has gone up really high in the last 2 years. This has only happened 4 times in the history of the stock market. Based on the research, that means that next year is expected to be a bad year. They're expecting what we refer to as a correction. A correction is basically a drop. Sometimes it feels like a crash, but it's not really a crash, but it kind of feels like a crash because nobody likes to see blood red in their portfolio. So just kind of get ready for that. There's no guarantees though. We could have a three-peat. I can't see that happening, honestly. I don't really know how that can occur at this point because it can't just go up forever, can it? But it's been doing really well. So keep that in mind for next year. But then just know the crashes are the times where you make the most money. So maybe having some money to the side to prepare to invest might help. Or I did that training, Stormproof Investing. So you can feel free to go to stormproofinvesting.com if you want to take a look at that. The stormproofinvesting.com. All right, so. The other thing I was thinking about, and I'm gonna answer a few questions before we go. So if you have a question, put it in the Q&A section of the Zoom, and I will answer that question. And so the other thing is, I assume you've been following the rally in crypto with Bitcoin and everything else. If you want to know what I've been doing in terms of Bitcoin and all that, I've just been buying more and more and more, just being consistent with what I'm doing. It's funny how Bitcoin's acting though. It's kind of flirting with 100,000. It's kind of crazy. And I think it's going to be a big party, a big explosion when it hits 100,000. It's going to be all over the media. And I'm really curious to see what the price does at that point. I know it's going to draw a lot more attention and a lot of inflows of capital. But I don't know if that necessarily increases the price. I think it could, though. I wouldn't be surprised to see once it breaks through 100,000, just seeing it just kind of just going crazy. And so the interesting thing about that also is that a lot of other cryptos are kind of taking off too. I got about maybe 6% of my portfolio in crypto, not a ton. But I know XRP and XLM and or Stellar Luma, I think is what it's called. Yeah, they're doing really well. A lot of them are. A lot of my cryptos are doing really well. And so if you want to know what I think about Bitcoin going forward, I think Bitcoin is going to keep on going up. We've talked about that before, but I wanted to just reiterate that and let you guys know that I think this to me. In fact, let me pull up a slide really quick so we can kind of look and see the price of Bitcoin. It's been going crazy. I mean, Bitcoin for the last decade has been a far better investment than gold. It's called digital gold, but it's better than gold. It's been insane in terms of creating instant wealth. And what really should make us kick ourselves in terms of thinking about this is that this happened right in front of us. This happened in broad daylight. It didn't sneak up on us. No, it's not like everyone's like so shocked and surprised. Nvidia snuck up on us. I got lucky with Nvidia. I happened to buy Nvidia back when it was like $5 or $10 or something, and I bought a few shares because our son plays video games, and he said, "Hey, boys, buy some Nvidia." And I said, "Why?" He said, "Because they make the video games that I play." And I said, "Okay." And I was honestly, I did it because I was. I'm his bonus dad. If you ever had like bonus kids, you're not their dad. You're trying to like find a way to connect. So I was like, yeah, let's buy some Nvidia stock together, son, like, right? So then it worked though, actually. It worked. We started talking more and I started playing Call of Duty with him because I saw he liked video games. So I gave us something to talk about. The funny thing was he stopped playing the game, but I kept playing because it was so much fun. I met a bunch of other guys my age and we love going in there. It's a great, you got to try it. Like, just know maturity is overrated. Life is short, man. Anyway, so here is the chart for Bitcoin on the screen. Can you guys see that chart? Let me know if you can see it. And one of the things I want to point out to you is I want you to notice that if I go back 6 months, look at this. I mean, this is just money being created in broad daylight. The last month, you've had a 45% increase in the value of your asset. Right now, by the way, if you're in the Zoom, you can see it. If you're on Instagram, you can't see it. So if you want to join the Zoom, text the word morning to the number 87948 and you get an invitation to come to the Zoom. I can't put it on the screen for those that are watching from Instagram. My Instagram is Dr. Boyce Finance. If you guys want to come hang out, I got a backup at Dr. Boyce Money. So maybe you can follow both of them because, I don't know. I've had a weird history with Facebook and Instagram. All right. So anyway, here, so you see right here, I mean, Bitcoin's gone up 45% in the last month. Holy crap. I mean, that's amazing, right? The last 6 months has gone up 40%. The last year, 121%. So you're doubling your money, more than doubling your money. Go back a full year, 161%. 5 years, 1,234%. So you could 12x your money. You could have 12 extra money by just simply taking a little bit, putting a little bit to the side, and just dropping it in there, just auto investing. And this is where financial consciousness comes into play. This is why every morning we do financial consciousness class, because what I want you to really understand is the connection between building wealth and having your your psychological peace and balance so that you can shut it all down, shut down all these crazy distractions in your head and just do the basics. Sort of finding your peace and just knowing how to like, okay, just chill out, stay still, don't freak out, don't wiggle around. And it's true for so many of us. I mean, ADHD is like a big thing everywhere. I know I have ADHD. And sometimes my extra brain activity causes me to move when I need to just sit still and wait. I need to be patient. Right. So literally a patient investor, there is a book I think out there called The Patient Investor, literally. I don't know who, I can't remember who wrote it, but a patient investor could have made an absolute killing, not by being some sort of financial guru, not by constantly trading stocks, day trading. I'm trading. Right, that's gambling sometimes. I hate to tell you, I love you, I love my day trader friends. I'm not hating on it and nothing like that. But that would be called gambling. You just instead of betting on the Cowboys, you're betting on CocaCola stock. Same thing. Instead of betting on the horses, you're betting on IBM. Right? That's what it is. That's right. And what unfortunately happens is that day trading takes up a lot of energy. It takes a really long time to learn all the different little, the Bonici sequences and the candlesticks and all this stuff and the bips and the blips and and then you don't make any money because 90% of all day traders don't make a profit. Right. A lot of them that tell you they're making a profit consistently, a lot of them are just lying. They just are. I mean, I'm not making fun of you. So day traders, don't get offended. Y'all know what it is. Come on now. Be honest. You know what you see. So anyway, so here's what I'm saying to you, this ROI is 1,234%. That's insane. That's 12x in your money. 12x. This is when I told you, I remember I talked to you all about gold. This is why I don't compare Bitcoin to gold, at least not right now. I told you gold is not something that will make you rich. Gold is something that will keep you rich. Gold is a great store of value, meaning that you can put your money in it, sit there, you know that your money ain't gonna really wiggle too much. That's what rich people want. That's what the Warren Buffetts want. Warren Buffett makes, I want to say, $1 billion a month just by having his money in risk-free T-bills. Warren Buffett ain't trying to get rich. He's got 100, I want no, sorry, he's got $300 billion in cash. Warren Buffett could use the cash in his checking account and go buy Coca-Cola and Nike if he wanted to on a Tuesday, just because, and not even take out a loan. Okay. That's how much cash he's sitting on. He makes $1 billion a month just sitting there. Okay. So this is different from digital gold. This is not a store of value. This is not keeping you rich. This made some people rich. So that's the first point I want to make here. This is astonishing. 1,200%. That's $100 turned into $1,200. That's $1,000 turned into 12,000. That's 10,000 turned into 120,000. That's 100,000 turned into 1.2 million. Now, here's the other piece of this that I want you to understand. I talked about this when I was leaving the gym yesterday. I want to elaborate on this concept. Is something that we've encouraged students to do in the Black Business School to get started investing and to make it very natural is to give yourself like a matching program. Just, I know you think that your boss is the only one who can give you a matching program on your 401k, but you can do that for yourself. Anything they can do for you, you can do for yourself. We're just used to other people controlling the institution within which we operate. We're used to sort of bowing to these economic gods who create something and it's there, and you think that's more real than something you create for yourself. Do you understand? That's why, for example, you have relatives who will respect you to the end of time if you tell them you got a job at Home Depot, but they don't have any respect when you go and create your little business. How's your little business doing? How's your little bit? Is that little business doing okay? Are you all right? Are you able to pay your? They don't respect it. They don't see it as real. And maybe when you start making millions of dollars, and they're like, oh, well, that's real, that's legit, right? So what I'm saying is that you can give yourself a matching program just like your boss gives you a matching program. You don't have to wait for somebody to do it for you. You can do it for yourself. And so what does that mean? What's the Dr. Boyce matching program? We can name it because this is something I hadn't seen anywhere. But here's the game. It's very simple. Don't change your spending habits very much. Don't sit around and do so what some of these gurus are telling you about how, feeling guilty because you bought coffee at Starbucks. All right, no, thank you. Towels, yes. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. That's okay. Yeah, don't feel guilty because you went to Starbucks. Don't feel guilty because you went to McDonald's, except for the fact that food will kill you. Don't feel guilty because you went on a vacation. Don't feel guilty because you got a new pair of Jordans. Don't feel guilty because you like to go out to eat. Don't even feel guilty if you like to buy the expensive bottle at the club, even though they paid $12 for that $400 bottle they sold you, but whatever, that's between you and Jesus. Here's what I want you to do. Um, get in the habit of basically washing away your sins. You know how in church, like the Catholic Church is so crazy. You could go out and kill 47 people, and as long as you come in and maybe say some Hail Marys, do the little cross thing, and maybe make a donation or confess it or something, like it's all gone. That's a great system, right? That's why no wonder the church is so popular because it's like there's no accountability there, right? No disrespect to the Catholics. My wife is actually came up Catholic, so I got to be careful. But seriously though, wash away your financial sins by or like how the environmentalists, what they do is they have these rules where they're like, okay, if you go in the forest and you chop down a tree, plant two trees or plant at least one tree to replace the tree that you chopped down, right? That's simple. So I would encourage you to every time you waste money, invest some money. So if I go to Nike and I buy me a pair of sneakers, they cost $120. Well, I go buy me $120 worth of Nike stock. That way, they're not just making money off of me, I'm also making money off of them. If I go buy the latest iPhone and I get the iPhone 17 or 18 or whatever comes out, and it costs me $1,422.88. Well, I get on my phone and I buy $1,400 worth of Apple stock so that they're not just making money off me, I'm making money off of them. Does that make sense? Give me a yes if that makes sense. Give me a yes if that's something you'll consider doing. I want to encourage this. This is something I've talked about it here and there for a few years, but this is something I really want to be consistently encourage you to do because here's the deal. if you had done that and just literally took your spare change or whatever and did that with Bitcoin or something, a lot of you would be very wealthy right now. A lot of you would have an insane amount of money right now. This that's the deal. People don't get rich in one big lump. You don't eat an elephant in a one big bite. You eat an elephant one bite at a time. So when you become a big financial elephant, just know you'll get there one bite at a time. You're not going to get there overnight. It's not, the fast money is the don't last money. And you do live in a fast money culture. You live in a culture where everybody sees athletes and entertainers getting these multi-million-dollar deals. And what happens 9 times out of 10? They blow the damn money anyway. I mean, a lot of times it's really hard to appreciate something that you didn't work for. If you didn't put in the grind and the hustle consistently to build what you have, you're not going to really value it, and the world doesn't value it. So the world is going to encourage you to throw it all away. Because think about it, you really didn't have the skill to truly build it. Somebody just gave it to you, so you're not going to have the skill to protect it. We tend to protect the things that we work for, the things that we actually value. So build the wealth, protect the wealth, and then you'll find that the ripple effect will be enormous. You will find that the kids are good. Son, daughter don't have to work for nobody unless they want to. Grandkids are good. Family vacations are awesome. We got the family LLC. We're doing family business meetings. I get to feel like a boss without actually having to ask my boss for permission to feel like a boss. My boss is never going to let me feel like a boss. He's already the boss. Maybe I can be the underboss or the underling, or maybe I can be the economic babysitter, but he gets to be my economic God. And I think that all of you have God inside of you. And I want to encourage you to unlock that, unleash that. And it comes from your imagination. It comes from your spirit. It comes from your self-belief. It comes from your ability to creatively implement ideas that are readily available for everybody. So I want you to do this. This is what I want for you. This is what I want for your family. All right. So basic baby steps, consistency. That's how you get rich. That's how you win. That's how you ride the next wave of whatever else it is that's going to become the next big thing. Something's going to become the next big thing. Your future self in 2029 is, that video there, that meme where they're tapping on the window. Your future self is banging on the window, trying to point you to something that is going to make you rich. They're saying, hey, invest in this, invest. You got do that, please, please. They're begging you to do this, right? Your future self literally sees something that you don't see, and you're going to see it in 2029 or 2030. And so the guess is the reason consciousness matters and preparation matters is so that you don't miss that opportunity, so you can find that next big thing that's going to really go off to the next level. And I'm gonna just tell you, I personally think Bitcoin is a slow pitch over the plate that you can knock into a home run. I believe, and if you go back 5 years ago, here's the crazy thing. So I was telling you, Bitcoin didn't sneak up on you. Bitcoin did not sneak up on you. You go back 5 years and find a video that I did in 2019 and listen to what Dr. Boyce said about Bitcoin in 2019. I was like, yeah, oh yeah, I'm buying Bitcoin. Every indicator is telling me Bitcoin's going to go up. You go back to even 2017. I mean, you could go back when Bitcoin was under 5,000 for sure. And there were quite a few people. Now, I can't say I was the best at this kind of thing. There was actually one black man. I told you all about him. He was a brother, and he was in 2013. He was begging people to buy Bitcoin. He was begging them. He said, "Come on, guys, this is going to be the next big thing. It's one freaking dollar." He talk like a white boy, but I don't judge that kind of thing. I don't care. When I say talking like a white boy, I'm not talking about like proper English. It's just like his accent. He's like, "Come on, guys, it's one freaking dollar. Just one freaking dollar. Just buy like $50 worth. One freaking dollar, right?" And so the people that took his advice. I don't know the guy's name, but I respect him a lot for what he did. If you'd taken his advice and just said, you know what, let me go ahead and just take this $50 and go ahead and buy me some Bitcoin and just sit it over here in the corner and just I'll check it later when I think about it. That's 50 Bitcoin. So right now, 50 Bitcoin, what's that? What's that? $5 million? Is that right? Yeah, the $50 turns into 5 million. Crazy, right? Crazy. Now I want you to think about 2013 and how many times you spent $50 on something stupid. We all did. We all did. We all did. I mean, it makes you mad, right? It makes you say, God, why did if I just, or the times you might have spent $100 or $200, you know, and that's the part that just freaks me out. It's like, oh my God, if I just said, because I say this to myself, if I just been like, okay, let me just take $400 and just put it in this investment. I mean, that's 400 Bitcoin. I'm trying to do the math. Let's see. 10 Bitcoin is about $1 million. Let's assume it's 100,000. 100 Bitcoin would be $10 million. So that's $40 million. Crazy. Insane, right? So wealth is happening right in front of you. It's happening all around you. The reason financial consciousness matters is because if you can't see the money, you can't be the money. Consciousness is a type of sight. It gives you the ability to observe your environment and to see what's down the road and what's ahead and to see the what ifs and the what could have beens and the what was and all that. So you have perspective. And when you have more perspective, you become a better investor. All patience is perspective. Patience is where you say, okay, the here and now is not the most important part of this game. There's a whole big game left to be played. That's what consciousness is. It's like, okay, I've got a perspective and I got patience now because I know that this too shall pass and I know it's going to be okay and I don't have to freak out and overreact to things. And people that tend to have consciousness and patience and perspective tend to make better decisions in general. They make better decisions when it comes to relationships. They make better decisions when it comes to money. They make better decisions when it comes to their health, their mental and physical health. They tend to be happier. They tend to be in better situations. The people that end up in the worst situations tend to be the people that are always reacting to what's happening right now because they forget that tomorrow is eventually coming and there will be a consequence or a reaction to whatever you choose to do or choose not to do right at this moment. All right. So anyway. Now, if you want to know about some of the other stocks, I see somebody saying, can you talk about the other stocks that can make money? I'm going to send you guys a list of stocks today, what I consider to be recession proof. If you'd like to get that list, text the word morning to the number 87948. I will send it out this afternoon. So text morning to 87948. And if you want to go deeper, and we do have a stock market program, you can actually go to drboycestocks.com, drboycestocks.com. We do a lot of stock stuff in the Black Business School. So there's plenty of stuff out there. So feel free to go to drboycestocks.com. All right, so what I'm going to do is answer a few questions. Put your question in the Q&A section, and I will answer the questions as quick as possible. Try to make it like one sentence so we can answer it quickly. Let's see. Keon says, do you think Bitcoin would take a hit? Yeah, probably. Bitcoin crashes all the time. That's the funny thing. That's the rope-a-dope. Bitcoin, it kind of snuck up. The one way it did sneak up on people is Bitcoin played dead a lot. There were lots of times where they say the demise of Bitcoin is greatly overestimated or something, right? Like you just really think, oh, this thing is dead. This crypto fad is over. And then Bitcoin's like, I'm back, right? So Bitcoin's like, sometimes I'm gonna pop out and show these fools that I'm not dead. And part of what I think makes Bitcoin maintain itself and continue to grow despite the obstacles is that they have a culture around the current around that currency. They have the people in my heard HODL, HODL, hold on for dear life. They got the HODL culture. You have people that look at Bitcoin almost like a religion. And I give tremendous credit to these people because they believe in it. They believe in Bitcoin the way you should be believing in your small black business. They believe in Bitcoin the way you need to believe in your family. They believe in Bitcoin the way you need to believe in your future. They don't give up. See, what people don't understand is that one of the biggest keys to wealth and success and entrepreneurship and anything else really is resilience. I mean, you have to be stupidly committed to whatever you're doing. That's why you shouldn't, in my opinion, you shouldn't start anything big unless you're stupidly committed to it. You're stupidly committed. Like, I don't think you should get married unless you're stupidly committed to your spouse or to the marriage. If you're not stupidly committed, then don't do it because you're gonna have times where you're gonna be like, "Oh man, this ain't working. This is stupid. I gotta get out of here." Right? So just don't do it. Just save your energy. Right? Don't start that business unless you're stupidly committed to that business. If you are stupidly committed, if you say, this is my business, it will succeed, I will keep going, I will not stop because this is who I am, I'm committed to this, then what happens is you have that resilience to go through the hills and the valleys because you know that they're coming. Your volatility, that's the ups and downs, that's the crashes and the chaos. That is a given when you're starting something new. You don't know what the hell you're doing. You don't know what's down the road. You don't know how the world is going to change. And resilient people they're just kind of they keep their eye on the North Star. That's another type of consciousness. That's another type of consciousness. Every morning, this is what we do. We're doing financial consciousness. Another type of consciousness is thinking about what matters to you and saying, this is what matters to me, period. So you have to be stupidly committed to it. And stupidly committed means when people come to you and they give you a lot of really rational and logical explanations about why you need to go ahead and give it up, you say, no, this is what I'm doing. I'm committed. And it reminds me of faith. Like there are people that are stupidly committed to God. And that's okay. I think that's good. If that's who you are, then you should be stupidly committed to God. Like, no, you can't, like my mama, you can't talk mama out of her Jesus. Like my mama has her Jesus. Jesus gives her comfort. Whether he's real or not, it does not matter. She's not going to hear you if you try to explain to her why Jesus may or may not have existed. None of that. She's just committed to it. And I respect that, right? Because the thing is that this is the power of the mind. This is why mental health and healing and consciousness matters so much and meditation matters so much. Is that what you don't understand is that most of the things that you consider to be real um, are literally a figment of somebody's imagination. Coca-Cola is a figment of someone's imagination. There's a time where you could say Coca-Cola and people be like, what are you talking about? Coca-Cola was created, in case you don't know, in case you're embarrassed about your own business, it was created by a drug addict who had a morphine addiction after the Civil War. And he created Coca-Cola because the cocaine in the Coca-Cola allowed him to numb his pain that without him using morphine. And then, oh, here's the thing though. A few years later, because he did not have a big picture perspective, he ended up selling the whole Coca-Cola brand for like a few $100s, $400 or $500, to someone that had more financial consciousness than him. That's what happened. He was a drug addict. He needed money. He's like, yeah, you can have this brand. Here you go. And then this guy buys Coca-Cola for $300 or $400. I could keep going down the list. Most of the things that you admire and you look up to, like including these goofy celebrities or these big corporate brands, all those things started as a figment of somebody's imagination. Walmart, a lot of y'all respect Walmart. If you got an executive position at Walmart, you go tell your family and they say, "Oh my God, I'm so proud of Pookie. Pookie done became somebody. He's a senior vice president of auto parts, at Walmart, right?" And you're excited about that. But there was a time where Walmart meant no, the word Walmart meant nothing. Sam Walton breathed life into what Walmart is. He breathed life into this thing that you consider to be very real. Walmart now, though, is this, multi-billion dollar company. Their growth is extraordinary. I've owned stock in Walmart for many years, and it's made me some money. So, and I can tell you that in terms of the story of Sam Walton, there were many times where his stupid commitment to the vision is what saved the company. There was a time where Sam Walton needed $1.5 million in 24 hours or the company was going to die. It was impossible. It was an impossible task. He had a little plane. He got on his plane. He went to one banker to get the money. They said, "No, we're not going to give it to you." And then but he didn't give up. He called another bank and he flew to New Orleans the same day and got the money. And that's what saved Walmart. If he had given up or said, "I would have did it, but it was too hard," or "I would have did it, but I had to come up with $1.5 million in 24 hours," then there would be no Walmart. And what I would encourage you to understand is that the research shows this. The research shows that because Black people have not healed from our trauma, the trauma causes us to have fear. Fear is the ultimate enemy when it comes to institutional development. Fear will stop you from being persistent. Fear is the cousin of self-doubt. Because you doubt yourself, you fear everything. So when you have this fear, then what happens is that when the big bad monster, when adversity shows up, ready to kick you in your ass, you get scared and you back down from the fight. You don't fight. That's what so fear. See, what you got to understand is that fear, which is deeply connected to trauma, which is very high in the Black community. It's like a psychological STD. The trauma, because it's also unhealed, it's undiagnosed, it's unchecked. That's what kills a lot of billion-dollar ideas in the Black community, because the founder who's blessed with that idea either doesn't have the resources to pursue it, or they don't have the support to pursue it, or they don't have the courage to pursue it. And the courage to pursue something is something that has to be renewed on a daily basis. You can't feel the Holy Ghost on Tuesday and then be unmotivated on Wednesday. You have to renew that commitment every single day. Everything we do in the Black Business School, I've had to renew that every single day. It's not like I just feel super confident and committed to it and just stays that way. No, I have to get myself in the right mindset. Every morning I go through a ritual to make sure that I'm showing up as the person I need to be to keep my vision going, whatever that is. So show up every day as the person you need to be to keep your vision going. And that will make your vision more real than people who just have some idea. Ideas don't mean nothing hardly. Ideas are like, they're important, but they really mean nothing without somebody willing to dedicate 20 years breathing life into that idea. It's just like a baby, yeah, having sex and getting somebody pregnant. People, you can do that in just a few minutes, but raising an extraordinary human being is a whole different journey. And that's the thing. You got people out here that are called parents, when all they did was make a baby. You ain't no parent if you made a baby. Parents are the ones who raised the damn baby. They're the ones who spent literally 157,800 hours. Sorry, 157,680 hours getting that child from age 0 to age 18 and consistently monitoring them every single step of the way. Those are real parents. Those are the people that will receive the benefits of the work. They're also the ones that are can shape the child into what they need to be. If you just make a baby and leave it to the side, then the baby's either going to die or the baby's going to become a menace to society. That's what happens. That's why you got so many kids out in the street doing crazy things because somebody thought that making a baby made them a parent, and that's absolutely insane. So I'm going to keep answering some more questions. Let me see here. What platform do you use to buy your crypto? I like to use Coinbase, so feel free to take a look at that. I use Robinhood also. I know that there's other ways to, there's other ways to secure your wallet. I just don't do that. I use Coinbase and Robinhood, and that works for me. What's the ticker symbol to buy Bitcoin? BTC. Yeah, just look up if you go to Robinhood and look up BTC, you can buy Bitcoin that way. It's very straightforward. Do you have any stock market courses for beginners? Yeah, Tamala. Let's see. What is it? The blackstockmarketprogram.com, THE, theblackstockmarketprogram.com. We do stock market Tuesdays where you can ask me questions about your stocks and we can look at stocks together and stuff like that. I send you guys a link to do a free trial whenever we do Stock Market Tuesday. So make sure you're on the text list and I'll send you a link. So text the word morning to the number 87948. So text morning to 87948. Do you think SMCI will take off like APLD did? SMCI, super microcomputer, they're having a lot of problems. I didn't buy the stock because I'm very concerned about what that company looks like from a fundamental level. Applied Digital, I've owned that for a while, and that stock has just shot up like a rocket. So, will it continue? I don't know. I think long-term investing, though, is the safest way to approach investments. Don't think of it as money you're going to make in 3 weeks. Think of it as money you can make in 3 or 4 or 5 years. I've been reading the Apple stock may be declining. Takes a big portion of my portfolio. Should I divest? Well, Gail, I think a good rule of thumb is, in my opinion, I don't think you should have more than 5 to 10% of your total invested assets in one stock. I think that's very risky. Apple could drop. Apple's a hard company to grow because they make so much money already. And when you're that big, it's hard to really grow. And they have a lot of pressure, antitrust lawsuits and stuff like that. I invest in Apple, but and Warren Buffett made a ton of money from Apple. But I don't look at Apple as anything special in terms of being a part of my portfolio that I expect to grow. Jaida, with the increase in crypto, what's a good crypto wallet to purchase? I'm buying Bitcoin on Coinbase. You know what? I don't have a wallet in mind to recommend. If somebody knows something in the chat, feel free to share that. But I buy right on Coinbase. I know the limitations. Like, okay, you really don't own it. They can take. Yeah, yeah, I get it. It's just not something that interests me. No disrespect to anybody though. What is a digital coin backed by? It can be backed by a lot of different things. It really depends on the structure of the asset. So you can back coins with almost anything. Let's see, anything of value actually. Let's see, how do we match our accounts like our job does? Are you saying the amount we spend, we invest that same amount into that company? Yeah, I mean, you can make it into a game, AJ. Make it into whatever you want. So that means like if I go to Starbucks and I buy something that's $12 at Starbucks, maybe I get, I just imagine like, oh, it'll be fun to be an owner in Starbucks. So I buy $12 worth of Starbucks stock or more if I have the money to do it. The key idea is to get in the habit of investing. So you can really do this with any company. You don't have to buy Starbucks. You could buy McDonald's or whatever. The key idea is to get in the habit of buying stocks every month or every week, right? Some people buy stock every day. You're literally like it's like having that big. Anybody ever have like a big change jar in your house where you come in and you put your spare change in the jar, and then over time it just fills up, and you're like, man, I can't believe all these pennies and nickels added up to all this money. And then if you're really broke, like I was in college and stuff, you literally open up the damn penny jar, and that literally will help you buy a pizza so you don't starve to death that day. Right? That was something I've always done. I still do that actually. I still have a big old thing full of change, and I'm still astonished by how big it gets by me just taking the spare change in my wallet and throwing it in that bucket. So this is what it is. It's an accelerated advanced version of a spare change bucket. It says get in the habit of every other day just buying a little bit of stock, a little bit of stock, a little bit of stock. Like Robinhood, no, sorry, not Robinhood. Acorns. I think they still have that thing where they allow you to take to round up your purchases and put that in your stocks. So if you spend $8.25 on something, they'll round it up to $9 and you'll have 75 cents worth of stock. So Acorns has that. And then you can even 10x that up to 10x. So instead of making it 75 cents, you can make it $7.50. Little things like that and being consistent, that's how people get rich. It's not the fast money stuff. Let's see. How can I explain to my grandson the difference between buying a pair of Nikes and Nike stock is better? Well, if you buy the Nikes, then you are the consumer. You're giving the money, they're giving you nothing back. If you invest in Nike stock, then you are an owner in the company. That means you're making money from all the people that are buying Nike sneakers. So he has to understand the difference between being an owner and being a consumer. Just like in the drug game, you got the dope dealers and the dope addicts, and the addicts never have any power. So we have consumption addicts in America, and I would almost compare some of these corporations to dope dealers, like especially big pharma and stuff like that. They'll make a drug illegal just so they can make it legally and make all the money. So ultimately, you want to get on the producer side of the economy, and this is one of the things that we do in our kids programs and stuff like that. Is we have a model called POISE, POISE, which stands for Producer, Owner, Investor, Saver, Entrepreneur. And the opposite of that is scrubs. Like you don't want to be a scrub. A scrub is a spender, consumer, renter, underpaid, borrower, right? So I say, no, I don't want no scrubs. So anyway, if you want to take a look at that, I did a training on that a couple weeks ago. It's at kiddieboss.com, Kitty, Kiddie, kiddieboss.com. So feel free to go to kiddieboss.com and take a look at that. And basically, the training is called How to Turn Your Child into a Millionaire. It's very easy to turn your child into a millionaire. It's so straightforward. And one of the biggest challenges, the craziest thing, is when people act like being broke forever is involuntary. Like, oh, there's no way. I mean, the economy is doing this and doing that, and the rich people are doing this to me and doing that to me, and they are absolutely. They're protecting their own interests. They're doing everything they can to try to manage and control you, and this works very well for people who can't think for themselves, right? So there is kind of a victimization that does take place, but it tends to take place, unfortunately, with those of us that are trained to be sheep. If you're trained to be a sheep and you do exactly what they tell you to do, then absolutely they're going to make you suffer for their benefit. That's the goal. They're like, okay, people, they'll just do what we tell them because somehow they think that somebody being on TV makes them important, or somebody being in the government, or somebody running a corporation, that they're more important than you. And they'll just make these rules. And because we don't know what to do, we'll say, oh, well, I'll just follow the rules, right? Okay, go to school, get a good job, go to college, go $100,000 in debt, get a corporate job, and then I'll be confused about why I can never get myself out of debt. And that's because that's how that little system was designed. They specifically create sort of this narrow portal that you're supposed to go through. And it's considered to be radical, or you're like a troublemaker when you're looking outside of the bus and saying, well, what about that? What about this? What about that? So that's what I'm saying. I'm saying, let's look outside the bus. That's consciousness. Consciousness is where you're aware of more than just what they serve you. They put a plate of food in front of you and they say, here, eat this food. We got some purple poison over here. We got some toxic greens over here, and we got some some sick dastardly chicken over here. We want you to eat this. And to me, I think that a conscious person says, no, this is not what I want to eat, and you're not going to limit my choices. And I've been doing that for years. That's who I am. And it gets me in trouble. I don't get invited to a lot of elite circles because I don't fit into things very well. If it doesn't make sense, I'm not going to do it. When election season comes, and I'm the guy who says, well, why do I have to pick a Democrat or a Republican? Ain't there nothing else in the back? And it causes problems. It gets, what's wrong with you? Why are you doing that? And I'm like, well, because to me, this is logical. This is not, but then again, maybe what seems logical to some is not logical to others. And I pray for those people because I don't think this system is designed for your benefit. I don't think the system's designed to create these wealthy, empowered, self-determined Black people. Why in the hell would they want that? I mean, seriously, like, financially secure Black people do not make very good employees. Really, I'm pretty much unhireable. You can't. There's no job you could offer me. Why? Why? I don't know. I don't. There's no consequence for me saying no. I say no. I got enough money. I'm all right. I don't need what you offering to me, right? And so what I really think is that I really, I know for a fact that you can give that to your kids. You can give this to your grandkids. My mother gave this to me and didn't even know she was doing it really. I want your kids to have the same thing. It feels really good to be free. It does not feel good to be forced to make hard decisions that you don't want to make. That is a terrible feeling. And my grandmother, shout out to my grandma. Y'all know my grandma. She's the Panther behind me. That's her name is Felicia. And my grandmother said something to me that stuck with me. She said, Coco, that was my nickname. She said, Coco, you never want to be stuck working a job that you hate for 35 years. That is the worst feeling in the world. And when she said that, that stuck with me. I mean, I didn't have to go do it. I didn't have to go spend 35 years on a job I hated to validate whether or not she was telling the truth. I just believed her and I felt her pain when she said it. And I said, "Ooh, I'm not doing that." So do that with your kids. Give them some options. That's it. All right, so let me keep going here. Christopher, can you give a brief perspective on Archer? I can't look up stocks right now, Christopher. So that's something that we do in portfolio power play on Stock Market Tuesdays. But I can look it up then. So because I don't have any information in front of me right now with this stock. Let's see. Should we buy Bitcoin now and we get out? I'm buying Bitcoin. Not telling you what to do, but I'm buying Bitcoin. Do I feel Carvana will perform well next year? I'm still not sure about Carvana. There's a lot of reports that say that they have a shady business model, so I haven't invested in it, but I wish I had because the stock dropped to like it went from like $200 or $300 to like 4 or 5, and then it shot back up, and I was like, ah man. But anyway, yeah. But sometimes you just miss stuff. Ricardo, SMCI is at risk of being delisted, but it's been a solid stock for years. Do you recommend avoiding it? I'm avoiding it. I'm not telling you what to do, but I'm avoiding it. Let's see. I have investments. However, how do I start investing in Bitcoins? You can do it on Robinhood or Coinbase. The ticker symbol is BTC, BTC. Some people have been trying to get me to buy stocks with them on YouTube and TikTok. Do you think that's wise? I would encourage you to just be careful. There's a lot of people there's a lot of bad, scammy investment people on the internet that with no training, they've never been, and I see it. I just don't talk about it, because it's just, I don't know what to say. The only time I talk about the scammers is like sometimes people they create those fake accounts, those fake Boyce Watkins accounts, where suddenly a Boyce Watkins appears in your inbox and says, "Give me $5,000 and I'll turn it into 100,000 in a week." And I don't know how to do that. I don't know that kind of magic, and so I have to warn people because I've had people lose over $250,000. One lady did, and it broke my heart. It made me really sad to hear that. And so be really careful because there are those fake accounts. I don't know why. I'm not that important. Like I don't know why there's just endless supply of like fake Boyce Watkins accounts. I have to block them every single day on TikTok. It's crazy. So if you see me in your inbox, just know the only DMs I'm creeping in is my wife's. I ain't creeping in nobody's DM. And really just if something sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Just keep that in mind. Antonio, so what's your take on the companies that would benefit the most in the AI race? I think NVIDIA, Microsoft. There's others though. I made a list of AI stocks. If you text the word stock to 87948, you can get that list. So text stock to 87948 and I can send you that list. I'm going to open up a stock account. What company should I start with and how much should I put in? If you start with stock market investing, I recommend starting with ETFs. If you go to blackwealthmasterplan.com and it's totally free, blackwealthmasterplan.com, that's the $5 a day plan, and that'll get you started in 5 minutes. It's very, very direct, very straightforward. Kevin, what are your thoughts? Oh, you okay? Thoughts on MicroStrategy? Um, I like MicroStrategy. I think it's a great company. I don't own shares in it, but I like it a lot. Okay, let's see here. Okay, let's do three more questions, then we can bounce out. How can I explain fractional shares to my daughter-in-law? Her concern is the percentage of shares. Fractional shares, think about it like a pizza, right? If I take a pizza that's cut into 8 pieces, and then I say, well, let me create more pizza. And I say, well, let me cut it into 27 pieces. So that means you now have more pizza. That would be untrue. That's not true. I just cut it into different slices. So fractional shares allows you to still own a percentage of the company. And what people get caught up in is the cost of the shares. So they think that buying 3 shares that cost $5 is better than buying like one share that costs $15 or 15% of one share that costs $100, but it's all the same. It's all the same. And what it comes down to is the dollar value of your investment. That's all that matters. The shares is kind of an illusion. It's like a little magic trick that makes you think that you're getting more. That's why companies kind of do stock splits. They're kind of hoping that you're going to fall for that. But all the research says that there's no inherent increase in the value of a company because of a stock split, because they change the number of shares outstanding. Like Warren Buffett's company, last time I checked, one of them had a share price of like $250,000 or something, but you can still invest in it. You don't have to buy a whole share. You can buy a piece of it like Bitcoin. And so I would just say, it's really about the amount that you invest, not the number of shares that you have. Because if they knew that you fell for that, which some people do, then they would just chop their stock up into tiny little pieces and make you feel like you're really getting more than what you're actually getting. So yeah, so fractional shares. Yeah, and I would also say this. I would encourage you not to overthink it. I keep talking about Burton Malkiel's 1971 monkey experiment. He literally showed that monkeys could invest, and the greatest strength the monkeys had is that they didn't overthink it. They just diversified. They just bought S&P 500 companies, and they actually outperformed the experts half the time in the experiments. And what kills people's ability to build wealth a lot of times is overthinking it and over processing and getting worried and concerned. And, well, what if I'm doing it wrong, or I don't know enough, so I'm going to wait another 5 years and miss all this money so I can do it right. Just start. Just start. Do it stupidly in the beginning. But that you're going to feel stupid. You're going to feel like you don't know what you're doing. Stick with the ETFs, the VOO, Victor Oscar Oscar SPY. Those are great places to start. And it literally, let me tell you how simple it is. A person could literally just buy SPY every week consistently for the next 20 or 30 years, and they will be very, very rich. Just literally one ETF, SPY. Why? Well, because SPY tracks the S&P 500. That means when all the big companies are getting rich, they're getting rich. When Elon Musk is getting rich, they're getting rich, right? When Jeff Bezos is getting rich, they're getting rich. Why? Well, because you've attached your wagon to their wagon. That's it, right? And in a way, it's like it reminds me of marriage, right? Marriage being probably one of the biggest investments that we make. And sometimes marriage can ruin our lives because we attach our wagon to a losing stock. We attach our wagon to somebody who's, some idiot or some terrible person who's going to do terrible things, which is why you have to do your due diligence. But if you attach your wagon to somebody who's doing amazing things because you picked the right person to be with, then that can literally your life will improve without you even doing anything. So attach your wagon to the people in this society, and this is the last point I'll make before we're done. Um, attach your wagon to people in this society that are gonna help you get rich. That's it. You do that, then guess what? Your fate will be their fate. And there are people in this economy that will always know how to make money. And I can tell you this again, you cannot work your way to wealth. You cannot save your way to wealth. That's because of things like inflation. And also, while you have all this inflation, wages are not going up with the rate of inflation. The cost of college tuition is rising at a rate that exceeds the rate of inflation. It's rising at a rate that exceeds the rate of increase in your pay. So you have to sort of understand these things and navigate, and don't just do what they tell you to do, because that's not going to put you in a good position. All right. Okay. So that last question was Dominica's asking, what's your morning ritual? My morning ritual, actually, this is something to share if you want to, really work on your mental health. I'm really big on mental health and stuff, not just because my wife's a therapist, but because in high school I had some depression. I have to be honest about that. It was really hard. And so I began to study what it takes to maintain your mental health. So I learned things like relentless optimism. I remind myself to be optimistic. I'm optimistic also about myself. Like, one of my rules is I never say anything negative about myself to myself. I say good things to myself. Like, I say great things about what I can be and who I am, and I encourage myself. That internal self dialogue is really important. If your internal dialogue is negative, then your outcomes will be very negative. So don't, you got to love you. If you want the world to love you, you got to love you first. If you don't even love you, then how you expect the rest of the world to love you? So that's important. Also, basic things, getting plenty of sleep, drinking tons and tons of water. That's how I try to stay as physically healthy as I can. And also, when I get up and I go to the gym, if I'm feeling kind of down, like, also, that's the other thing, emotional awareness. You have to be in touch with your emotions. This is where things like therapy and stuff come into play. People don't talk about that because they think that that's like, oh, that's soft or whatever. No, the reason it's not soft, it actually makes you stronger and more resilient, is because I can honestly say I'm not a person that pretends to be confident. I'm a person that really is confident. Like, I'm really confident because I've looked underneath the bed and pulled all the spiders out of the closet, in terms of acknowledging everything about Boyce, good, bad, and ugly. And I'm okay with that. I've learned to love myself, not just when I'm great, but love myself when I make a mistake. And what happens is that when you have that depth of connection with who you are, when you truly know who you are and you're truly connected to that person, you truly love that person, then you're not ashamed of that person. You know that person ain't perfect, but you know that person has the capacity to be as great as he or she wants to be. So at that point, you can truly walk through life with substance and not flash. I've told you, I kind of laugh because there's a lot of flashy, fast talking Negroes out here. People talking a big game, and their arrogance is covering up for deep, 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 deep level insecurities. And I'm like, I don't want to be like that. I want substance. We can be flashy if you want to. I don't care. But the substance will always show up. And that's something that helps you sleep at night. The other piece of that too is last piece I'll say is the motivation. Like Spotify has all these like motivational tapes and stuff, and that's one thing that I might listen to kind of get me going and reminding myself who I'm supposed to be. Being the best does not mean you're always at your best. Like Michael Jordan was the best basketball player in the NBA, but he realized one time he went out and he said, I used to think, if she said there was a time where I thought that I was going to be the best player just because I was Michael Jordan, just because I had on the number 23, I was automatically going to dominate the other players. So I stopped working as hard. I stopped staying 2 hours after practice. I stopped working on the fine-tuned elements of my game, and I became mediocre. He scored like 12 or 13 points. And he said, "Whoa, wait a minute." So what I think he learned there is that being the best doesn't mean you're always at your best. And greatness is a contract that you must renew every single day. Do you understand? Like your black excellence has to be, it's a contract with yourself, and the contract is up for renewal every single morning. Because some days you wake up and you're not feeling it. Some days you're not being the person that you want to be. So there has to be a process to get you back to where you're supposed to be. The psychologists might call this queuing up a part of who you are, like bringing it out. Like, so for example, if my goal is to be the best Christian on earth, then every day I might have to go through it. I might have to listen to some gospel music, some Kirk Franklin, I read the Bible, do some prayer, right? Center myself. And then next thing you know, I show up as super Christian, right? But if you have me, but if I'm hanging out in the nightclub and smoking some weed and getting into shenanigans and fighting with people, then that might bring out because y'all know a lot of Christians got the other side of themselves that is not Christian like at all. Right. So you have to bring out the side of yourself that you need to show up for that situation. And sometimes it might mean showing up as the parent. It might mean showing up as somebody's child. It might mean showing up as somebody's husband or wife. It might mean showing up as a competitor. It might mean showing up as a business person. I think having a process to get you into that person and to really commit to that at that moment is really valuable. So maybe the motivational stuff I listen to that'll kind of get me going and remind me like why I'm here, what I'm doing. And then also the last piece I'll throw in there is I'm really a big advocate of exercise. Because first of all, you'd be amazed. Like I told you this week, I spent time in a room full of cancer patients, and it's like, holy crap, it really affects you. And I do think that the food is killing us. I think that they encourage a lifestyle where a lot of people are dying. I think half of all people are expected to get cancer at some point, and this is really a food emergency and a big problem, right? And Americans are the sickest, fattest people on the planet. So I think you have to fight against that and resist that on some level. So that going to the gym doesn't just help you in terms of your physical health, but it also there's studies that show that the testosterone you get from lifting weights. It enhances your mood, it elevates you, right? So every day I'm like, let me get my dose of testosterone, and I'm listening to putting something in my mind and in my body that's going to make me the strong version of who I want to be. And that's when I can show up in the way that I need to show up to get the damn job done. So I hope that that wasn't too long-winded. I hope that that helps some of you. I encourage you. You got to really love you. You are the most important asset in your life. You are your own biggest investment. And I guarantee you that if you are invested in you and you love you and you step forward as the best version of you, then you're going to see not just you rise, but everybody around you is going to rise. I want you to be the superstar in your life, and I want you to be the sun, and where all the planets are going to rotate and gravitate around the sun. And the sun doesn't care what the planet's got to say. The sun doesn't care if the planet is a hater. The sun doesn't care if the planets are mad that he's doing so well. All the sun does is sits there and shines. So that's it. You ain't got to worry about what everybody else is doing, what everybody else is saying. You just keep on shining. And I guarantee you that if you shine hard enough, these little planets, they're gonna be rotating around you. Some of them good, some of them bad, but that's what it is. So go be the best version of you you can be. I hope that wasn't too preachy, but and I hope that that helps somebody. I'll see you all tomorrow morning. Again, if you want that list of stocks, recession-proof stocks I mentioned, text the word morning to the number 87948. Text morning to 87948, and I'm gonna send that out this afternoon. Have a good day, everybody. I'll see you guys soon.